Welcome to John S. Sports Channel. Today it is the Championship review from last week, so game week 15, and we are going to start with Watford versus Oxford. So let us, without ado, go into our first game. So Oxford started the brightest, I think, and really did try to get that first goal in, and both the home crowd and the away crowd were shouting shoot even when we're like 30 yards from goal. But it was great fun. And no doubt the fans at that point were actually enjoying shouting it. Whether it made any difference. Probably did actually. There's one or 2 points where they started shouting shoot and they just shot from where they were. It's like, well, that's not going to go in from there, is it? But it's good fun, good game. I actually thought that was really enjoyable. Partially for the game, partially for the crowd. Oh, it was brilliant, absolutely. I loved the crowd. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the game. Oxford came out better in the first half. I think Watford. I think the fans were getting a bit disgruntled by the fact that they just weren't on top in the first half, and they knew it, and a few shouts of indignation at the fact that they just weren't switched on enough in the first half, and all of a sudden in the second half they came out. They scored as soon as they started playing well, really, when they came out from the break, and 54 minutes, Bayo 1-0. Overall, Watford 60% play, 17 shots, 8 on target, 1 goal. You really should be making the most of those 8 shots, and you should be getting at least 2 in the 2 or 3 in the top half of the Championship. If you get 8 shots on target, 10 shots out of 40% for Oxford, 3 on target, no goals. Yeah, possibly a decent ratio, but they would have hoped to have got 1 from that. So what was the score? 1-0. What did we say? We said 2-1. So we claim our first tick of the day, and we can move on to Saturday's games, which include Cardiff versus Blackburn. So we go with Cardiff versus Blackburn, and Cardiff 1, Blackburn 3. Cardiff didn't do too badly, I don't think. It's just that, I think it was the second goal that Blackburn scored. Again, 3 at the back, just stood there. And I've seen this before in recent games where Blackburn's back something ends up as a back 2 or 3, and they just stand there like skittles. It's just a little bit. As a fan, I'd be up screaming and shouting, "Why the hell have you left the back line so empty?" But up front, they're really good. That goal was I found that was a penalty and a half, and he tried to place it with a little bit of power, just enough, and of course it came straight back to him, and he took it really well, because you've got to remember he's running at quite a pace forward towards the goalie, and for it to bounce back at him, that means it's relative to how fast he's going. It's going twice the speed, because he's moving and the ball's moving in the opposite direction. So it's actually quite difficult to hit while you're moving. And he did really well to put it away. But Blackburn just had the edge here. 3-1. I don't think it was a 3-1 game. I think it was more like a 2-1 game, but it was certainly the right way round. 63% possession to Cardiff. And like I say, 20 shots, 8 on target, 1 goal. You would have expected them to put away more than 1. However, they were in general quite distant shots. So you can forgive them for not scoring more from the 8 on target. Blackburn, 38% possession, 11 shots, 7 on target. Wow, 3 goals. What figures! Cardiff had no chance when Blackburn's going to have figures like that. And I don't think Cardiff actually played badly. Like I say, I just think that defence was a little bit poor. today. It was 1-3 to Blackburn. We actually said that Cardiff could continue this good run. We put in a Cardiff 2 Blackburn nil, thinking that the run of the green for Blackburn's been sort of a bit rough a bit of late, and Cardiff's run of the green's been quite good. And I really sort of thought that that would continue. Shucks, didn't. So we said 2-0 to Cardiff. It was 3-1 to Blackburn. And he said the wrong club. And for the future, if Cardiff can sort that defence out from going AWOL at times, then I think they should be good for it. Blackburn, more consistency. That's the first. I hear that's the first goal for Blackburn in 7 hours. Ouch. And that's what the sort of thing we were looking at and thinking, this is insane. It's the wheels seem to have fallen off, but they don't seem to be playing worse football. So it's just the run of the green. It's just the run of the green and the decisions from the ref, and I think that it's just not going their way. And this match, well, it just proved that things like that are so unfathomable. They can go one way one week and then completely the opposite next. So Blackburn won it. We don't get anything for that, and we'll move straight on to Borough versus Luton. Now, we expected this one to be quite a fiery experience with the positions that we're in. So Middlesbrough versus Luton. We thought this was going to be a humdinger, and we thought it was going to be all Middlesbrough, and it was. This is one of those games where you look at the stats and they don't bear any resemblance to what I saw in that game. 52% possession to Middlesbrough, 11 shots, 6 on target, 5 goals. It sent more than that, didn't it, in every single respect. 48% possession to Luton, 5 shots, 3 on target, 1 goal. The number of shots probably about right. The possession, 48%. I don't know how that managed to get that high. It was all Middlesbrough. And Luton did have their chances. Don't get me wrong. They had some pretty damn good chances. But at the end of the day, it just didn't come off, did it? And I think it said Bergzorg's first goal, wasn't it? So, some celebrations there. I hope you do realise that he should have got I don't actually hear him getting a yellow card, but for celebrating with the fans, you actually get a yellow card because one of our players got his first goal for Rotherham, and he went into the crowd, got a second yellow, and got sent off. So I do hope all the referees are doing the same thing. I bet you they're not. It was all Middlesbrough. 5-1. What can we say? There was some class there. Luton's goal was a defensive error. Let them in, but it was very well taken. And Woodrow should have scored one. I mean, that was a pretty free scoring chance there. And had he done that earlier on, perhaps it wouldn't have been 5-1, and Luton could have done a pullback. But and they do that. Luton don't drop the heads as a rule. Today, or that day, they dropped the heads a little bit, especially when I think it was really, for me, it was when Woodrow missed that chance, and then it was like, it's not going to go in for us, is it? And the heads just dropped. They did get one, but it didn't make any difference. Middlesbrough 5, Luton 1. It looks like Middlesbrough are showing what they can do now, doesn't it? 4 and 5 goals in a week. What did we say? We said Borough 3, Luton 0, thinking let's just not get ahead of ourselves. But we got the right result, so well done. Luton now are in dire need, and we are told by certain sources that Luton Town may be managerless soon. So that's what the news is from Sky, that there's hints that there may be a manager change on the way. So we'll keep our noses and ears peeled for this one, sniffing around and listening around to see what news comes of that. And we will move on to Stoke City versus Millwall. So, Stoke City versus Millwall. Was that a penalty for Stoke? God, was that a penalty for Stoke? How on earth did the linesman and the referee not see that? Let's just take the shirt, yank him to the ground. However, if you saw the goal for Stoke just after that, you would see one of the Stoke players actually pulling back the Millwall player so that he couldn't get forward enough to get in the way of the shot that went in the net. So technically, he also missed that being a no goal. So okay, I'm gonna wipe those two out, but it just does go to show that there are some awful refereeing. There's some awful refereeing around, isn't there? Stoke City Millwall, pretty. I thought this was quite good. We knew Millwall weren't that good away from home, but we also know that Stoke City's defence can be a bit rocky. Um, I expected very few goals, and I said 1-1. No, I said 2-2. I said 2-2, thinking, let's just say that they both do score more than one. A little bit higher than what most people were thinking. Most people thinking just one goal, 2 goals in the game. I decided to go for 2-2. It was 1-1. 72% possession to Stoke, which was probably about right from what you could perceive when you were actually watching it. 8 shots, 3 on target, 1 goal. Millwall 28% possession, 8 shots, 1 on target, 1 goal. I think this was a lot more even than what the stats show, and I think it's one of those games like we just had earlier. The stats don't show what I saw in that game. Yeah, Stoke had the upper hand, but it didn't look like it. It was sort of 72% to 28. So was it a fair result? Well, actually, I think it was. I think that there was some pretty ropey shooting, trying to get in position, trying to manhandle people out of the way. Yeah, okay, not as much in this game, but it was there. Not one for the neutral. Not one for the neutral. It was played in their own defence and midfield most of the time, and getting into the number of times they got into the final third to me wasn't akin to a good standard of championship football. So as a neutral, not the greatest one to watch. Probably to me the right result. Stoke 1, Millwall 1. I think Stoke will probably be the ones that are most disgruntled by the draw. I think being at home and having so much of the ball, but they just couldn't get that quality shot off. And I think overall 1-1, good score. We said 2-2. I'll accept that as a third correct result out of 4. This is getting good, isn't it? Let's go to Derby versus Plymouth and see if we can continue. So Derby versus Plymouth, and we really thought this one would be slightly edging it to Derby, but we weren't quite expecting the Plymouth side to put up so much resilience. Plymouth aren't very good away from home, and we've been saying they really do need to try and get this away form sorted and changed. Derby County 53% of possession, 20 shots from that. Wow, 4 on target though. That's not very good. And 1 goal. 4 on target, 1 goal's okay, but 20 shots, 4 on target isn't. 5 shots on from Plymouth in the entire game, from 47% possession. 2 on target, 1 goal. They've actually done really good for their percentages. However, it's another one of those times. I didn't see 47% possession. Most of the time I saw it, it was being controlled really well by Derby. I think Derby County controlled that extremely well. But when they didn't have it, when Plymouth had it, Plymouth played damn good football. And they actually looked threatening all the way through. And, you only have to look at I mean, Jerry Yates, 8 minutes. That should have shut the game off, shouldn't it? Um, but 41 minutes. They carried on throughout that first half, still pounding away Plymouth, and they could have won it a couple of times in the second half. So it wasn't just one-sided. It was actually quite even, but as far as play-wise, it was quite even because Plymouth did a lot with the little ball that they had. Um, Derby County didn't quite do as much with the ball when they had it, and I thought they had it for a lot more often. So at the end of the day, Derby County's shown what they can do. I'm certain that they're not going to have any. I mean, let's have a look at the table, because I can't see either of these teams being near the bottom. Certainly, Derby County 12th position on 19 points. Plymouth Argyle 18th on 16 points. But you must remember they're only 1 point from out of the relegation zone, with Cardiff in 22nd on 15. So they're only just lingering above the relegation. But playing like that, they should be able to get enough points away from home to be able to be clear of that relegation drop, to be honest. And Derby County will be happy that they've got enough class in that side to be able to just manage that, to keep in that mid-table chunk, and then perhaps make a push for it next year. So the score: Derby 1, Plymouth 1. We decided to go with Derby, thinking home advantage, just edging it with the quality of players. But Plymouth not doing very well away from home. So we said 2-0. It was 1-1. Forget that one. We'll move on to Leeds versus QPR. And this should be one way, shouldn't it? So Leeds versus QPR, 69% against 31, roughly 70-30. Leeds 21 shots at goal, 6 on target. A smidgen less than what you'd expect from a team that are expecting to go up into the Premier League. From those 6, 2 goals, yep, pretty good. 31% possession to QPR, 5 shots, none on target. They actually did have some good shots. And Leeds' first goal, yeah, it was ping pong ball, wasn't it, basically? And a lot of ping pong ball shots from Leeds. I think quite a few of those 21 were just sort of either from, during, or after the ping pong ball bouncing around in a box, and God knows who knows where it is or where it's going to go. And I think that was that. If that was QPR's plan, it worked, because it did stop them from playing class football, which we know they can play. We know that Leeds can outplay every team in that division, much like Birmingham in League One. But QPR managed to stop them playing. Okay, they didn't win it. They didn't even draw it. But, QPR did a good job, and the game plan roughly worked. And I think the fans should be happy that, they're playing Leeds, for God's sake, come on. But they managed to stop Leeds from playing for big chunks of that game. Occasionally, yeah, we did see at least 1 or 2 occasions where Leeds went on the break, and you suddenly look, where's the defence? There's 2 people back in defence. That's not what I've seen in previous games, that they've usually made sure the defence is absolutely well covered. They didn't on occasions in this game, didn't get punished for it. Not out and out, but those runs were effectively stopped before they got to the goalkeeper. But that was more luck than judgment. So it was Leeds well on top all the way through the game, really. QPR just kept coming back, and yeah, they did have a few shots, and they didn't really look like they were ever going to get a goal. Not to me. I think QPR will start to put some decent games together, but it's strange. 24th position for QPR, and yet we're saying that game was actually quite good for me. They actually played a decent game of football, and they managed to stop Leeds playing for big chunks of the game, and yet you look at it and think they're bottom 24th with 10 points, and you think, how the hell are they doing that? Because there's been some really good games of late, and I'm just sort of a little bit puzzled as to how they can play such good games lately and still be on the bottom with 10 points. I think that will change. I think they will improve. Let's wait and see. Leeds, well, yeah, I think they certainly have shown that they have the class. But when they come across a side that's determined to make them stop them from playing, they have to find a way of still being able to play, because that was testimony to QPR's ability to just stop them from playing for big chunks. But they still won. What did we say? We said it was going to be 1-0 to Leeds, thinking that QPR can harass that, keep that defence quite solid if they turn up. If they do it, they can do it well. They did it, and they did it well, but not as good as we know they can do it. So we said 1-0, it was 2-0. I'll take that as a correct result any day of the week. And we move quickly on to the last game for that day, which was Norwich versus Bristol City. Another one of those strange games now. Norwich versus Bristol in Battle of the Cities. 66% possession to Norwich, 34 to Bristol City. Didn't seem like that. I know Norwich City started well, and they were certainly, I think, in the ascendancy in the first half. But in the entire game, you couldn't write off Bristol City in any of it, and they were strong whenever they had the ball. They did really well. I don't know where the 34% came from. It looked to me like they had more of the ball than that. Both of them had 9 shots. Norwich had 3 on target, no goals. Bristol City had 2 on target out of 9 and 2 goals. At the end of the day, it's how many hit the back of the onion bag, and Bristol City won it. Narky Wells, that was a really good goal, and I think I'm getting to really be very impressed by Narky Wells. He's certainly one of those players to watch, I think, over the next couple of years. He's starting to show in this side what he can really do when they're playing really well, when they turn up. So 66 against 34 on possession. I don't know. I think it was a little bit more even than that. Bristol City were good value for their money, and Norwich City obviously could have gone into the lead, bar for it not for the woodwork. However, didn't happen, and it just wasn't rolling for them, was it? It just wasn't. It's like whatever they did, it just wasn't going to get anywhere near that darn goal and go in the back of it. Norwich City fans will be the most grieved by this result, because they did have some moments of class, and they did have the ball more often than Bristol City, but whether it was that amount, I don't know. But their fans will be thinking, we should have done more with that ball. We should have been able to show our class a little bit better. But the few moments of real brilliance by Bristol City, and there were more than just those two, the few moments that they had were just so good that it just cut straight through the back defence of Norwich. And I do want to have another look at the table. Bristol City now in 10th on 22 points. Just 3 points away from West Brom in 5th. Norwich City now in 14th, 18 points. And they're just 3 points above 22nd place Cardiff. On 15. So they're just 3 points above the relegation zone. They're far too good to be even thinking about that, obviously, and you've got so many teams below them on within 3 points of each other that it would take an absolute disaster of momentous amounts to see them going down to that level. But the fact is, it's a very even league this year, isn't it? So Norwich City 0, Bristol City 2. We said 2-2 because Bristol City have been doing quite well. Norwich City have had a couple of hiccups, and I've noticed that they've not been as clinical recently. So I sort of didn't want to give them a win, and I was quite right to do that. And it ended up 0-2. Obviously, completely wrong result for us, but I think in general we saw that Norwich were just not ticking. I'm not being ticking of late. And we'll move to the next day now, where we see Portsmouth versus Preston North End. So Portsmouth versus Preston North End, and I had the words of William, our Preston North End fan, sort of ringing in my ears, saying that they have been playing a lot better of late, and they have absolutely been playing a lot better, and Preston were solid here, absolutely no doubt about it. Preston North End were quite solid. Was it a 3-1 game? Based on the balance of play and how well each team played, I wouldn't have said so. I think 2-1 would have been to Portsmouth would have been about a right result. However, 3-1 to Portsmouth, it could have been 4 or even 5. They played absolutely brilliantly, Portsmouth, and the class of shot has been improved so much. Some of their shots earlier on have been so lackluster and sort of like bouncing along the floor and just grass cutters, as we call them. And they're not going to get anywhere doing grass cutters in the Championship. And this game, they lifted the ball, they shot from a distance, and they managed to get good shots on target, curlers, really high-powered fast shots. No grass cutters. Really good. I enjoyed it. 42% possession to Portsmouth, 18 shots, 5 on target, 3 goals. Pretty good, yeah. 58% possession to Preston North End. And yeah, they did. They had a lot of the ball. And they played well with it. But Portsmouth knew what they're doing. They had a game plan. Try and defend. We're at the bottom. We need to defend. We just need to have the run of the green go for us once or twice. And it did today. And 6 shots for Preston North End. 1 on target. 1 goal. Yeah, they scored from their only shot on target. And it's testimony to the way Portsmouth set that defence up, and for once it made very few mistakes. It did make mistakes, but not ones that let them in to score, I don't think. Penalty, a little bit light. I think that to me was I get touched and I'm going down like a sack of spuds again. I don't like ones like that. However, we'll sort of ride over that one, shall we? 3-1 to Portsmouth. A good game. I enjoyed watching it. Really good. And the fans around here, because I'm near Portsmouth, certainly enjoyed it. They enjoyed the result. They enjoyed the game. They came back buzzing. And they deserved that 3-1 win. It could have been 4 or 5-1. Well, what did we say? We said 1-0 to Preston, because I just agree with our our Preston fan, and with some of the local Portsmouth fans before the game. They didn't really hold out much hope, and Preston was certainly starting to show how good they were playing. So we said 1-0 to Preston. It was 3-1 to Portsmouth. So we don't get anything from that. And I just want to have a look at the table. I remember when we were saying, Preston are doing really well, and they are actually. It probably was right. William was probably right. I did miss the fact that although 1 or 2 wins jump you quite high up the league. I didn't realise that they had done 2 in a row, and it had actually pushed them sort of to 15th, 16th position. They're now in 20th position, Preston. 15 points, equal with Cardiff in 22nd, and only 1 goal difference better than them. So they've got -8. Cardiff's got -9. Portsmouth have got -12 goal difference, but they're in 23rd place now on 12 points. And, you know, they're only 3 points away from Hull City in 19th. So, you know, never say die. Portsmouth, yeah, there's still a chance that you can put a couple of wins together. You could get into a relatively safe position, and hope that the teams below you just don't quite to turn everything around. But the trouble is at the bottom, QPR at the bottom, they have and they can turn things around. They have in the past, and they are actually playing decent football. So I could see them changing their look. Portsmouth, yeah, they played really well. They could indeed change their look. Cardiff have been doing well, and they have actually shown me that they can play some damn good football and don't deserve to be in 22nd. So, and then you've got Luton in 21st, and you're thinking, well, you know, surely to God they're not going to stay there. It looks like they'll be changing their manager with what Sky is saying. Preston, who we've already said have been playing well recently, so you know they're 20th position, and you're starting to talk about, you know, Hull, Plymouth, Coventry, and Oxford just above them, and you're thinking, this is an insane league. 3 of them have got to get relegated, but all those bottom ones have played really well. It's absolutely manic, isn't it? So we didn't get that one right. We go to Sunderland versus Coventry. And we were looking for a walkover at Sunderland. Surely getting rid of their manager just before meeting Sunderland was a really silly idea, wasn't it? Well, how wrong we could have been. But I remember when they sacked Mark Robins, I thought, what a stupid idea. And then someone, I think it was Matt SB said it. The Coventry fan broadcaster. He said, look, if that's what the players want, if it was players playing badly because they wanted to get rid of him, fine, you've done it now, you've succeeded, but who's gonna come in after? And as soon as Sunderland scored that first goal, I saw Coventry pick up, and it was almost like they were saying, right, no. We can play. We are this class. We are as good as what they are. And to me, they were really even. This game was 2-2, and it was 2-2. It was an enthralling end-to-end game where both teams played as well as each other. So there was some cracking play by Coventry, some cracking play by Sunderland. I'd say slightly more good play, classy play from Sunderland and Coventry. But I was put aback by the fact that Coventry were actually playing some damn good football. And to me, it smells of the players weren't playing well because they wanted Mark Robins out and they wanted a change. Something must have happened in that dressing room for them to do that, because this game shows you what that team can do. And did it have anything to do with Mark Robins? The only thing is he's not there. Why? Because they've been playing poorly. Why is it suddenly he leaves and they suddenly start playing classy football that is of nowhere near what where they are in the table? 17th on 16 points, 1 point above Cardiff in 22nd. You know, 1 point above the drop zone. And you think, it looks like that's what the players wanted. It looks, from that performance, it certainly does look like Matt SB got it right, and that the players played badly to get rid of him. And fine, but who's going to take his place? Lampard, is it? No, I don't. I think it's Lampard that's... Is it Lampard for that job? Yeah, I think it's Lampard, isn't it? And you think, no, I can't. Oh, perhaps. I don't know. Tell me what you think of that decision. It does look like it will be, and I'm sort of 50-50 on that one. He could make a damn good job, but he's got to get his feet under the table and start getting them playing his way. So will it be an instant reaction? I hope so for the fans' sake, because I know what certainly Matt SB thinks. So a great game, and I think Sunderland really took it to them. And I think after that, with that first goal, you're thinking they could have been 2-0 up by that point, of course, and you're thinking that Sunderland are going to whitewash Coventry, but then obviously Coventry just came back in it, and it was really a 2-2 game after that. I couldn't see any difference between the two sides whatsoever. They were both as good as each other, both as skillful. 48% possession to Sunderland, 52 to Coventry. You say, we're starting to see figures, aren't we? 9 shots on target for Sunderland. 9 shots for Sunderland, 5 on target, 2 goals. 8 shots for Coventry, 3 on target, 2 goals. The more clinical would be Coventry. Yeah, okay. We're saying something here, aren't we? Coventry players, it looks like, did want to get rid of Mark Robins. They've got their way. I don't particularly feel that's the right way of doing it. However, if you're not playing for that manager because he's said something or done something or not played you, is that the right way to go about it? I don't think it is, but I'm not a Coventry fan or a manager. So it was 2-2, and we thought that Sunderland would absolutely trounce Coventry because they'd done such a daft thing, and we said 4-0. So we're totally and utterly, we got the right number of goals, 4 goals, but it was 2-2, not 4-0. So we go on to Sheffield United versus Sheffield Wednesday, the Steel City derby. Yeah, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, and I was listening to this one, and I think that the local broadcasters are saying this is a tense game, and this is neither team wanting to lose. They're not bothered about winning. We really don't want to lose the Steel City derby, and you could tell by the figures. It probably does actually match the game. 59% possession to Sheffield United. They did actually run it a little bit more than that, I think. 41% to Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah, probably it looked a little bit less than that. 8 shots for Sheffield United, 1 on target, 1 goal. 10 shots for, so similar, 10 shots for Sheffield Wednesday. None on target, obviously no goals. A very tense game. Very nervy game, and that's something else that the local radio called it. A very nervy game where nobody wanted to make a mistake and nobody wanted to be the one that lets in someone to score a goal against you. And the majority. I think the one figure that really does show this is the passes. There was 419 completed passes for Sheffield United, 290 for Sheffield Wednesday. So when Sheffield United had the ball, they were certainly passing it more, and they were trying to just steady the nerves for probably 90% of the darn game, and they did deserve the win. They did play the classier football. You could tell that this is a team down from the Premier League, and Sheffield Wednesday, though, by no means, and I know Rotherham fans, so it hurts to say this, but Sheffield Wednesday, they actually played quite well. And against an ex-Premier League side, they should be quite happy that going to Bramall Lane and getting a 1-0 defeat against the team coming down from Premier League is by no means a disgrace, certainly not 1-0. So 1-0 to Sheffield United. We said it was going to be 3-0 to Sheffield United. We thought that class would just show through, but the nerves showed through instead. I think Sheffield United can play better than that and more confidently, but it was a Steel City derby. We can let them off from that, can't we? And we move on to the next to last game, which is Hull City versus West Bromwich Albion. So Hull City versus West Brom, a game of 2 hours really. West Brom were really quite the better side in that first half. Hull City came back in the second half and started to play some good football, and they could have quite easily equalised in that second half. Possibly should have. I think on the whole game, I would probably say it was probably a 2-2 draw, which is surprised because we said it was going to be a Hull City 1, West Brom 1. And I think actually that probably would have been a fair result here. 67% possession to Hull City, 13 shots, 3 on target, 1 goal. You know, yeah, a lot of them were from distance, so yeah, that's where the 13 shots went down to 3 on target. 33% possession to West Brom, 5 shots, 3 on target, 2 goals. When they shoot at target, they get them in. They just don't shoot very often. Again, the same figures, 5 shots throughout the entire game, but they're clinical with the ones that they do shoot. So, you know, it's working for them, and yeah, it's just the way West Brom play. We don't expect many goals from them, and we don't get them. But in 5th place on 25 points, you have to take your hat off to them. It works for them, simply because their defence usually manages to let in less than what they're scoring. So what did we say? We said 1-1. It was 1-2 to West Brom. We won't claim anything for that, although I would say, you know, I think a fair result there probably would have been a draw. Hull City fans will probably go home feeling a little bit hard done by there. They really should have been at least coming away with a point there. And now they're equal 22nd with Cardiff. So, yeah, on goal difference only, five goals difference between the pair of them. And it's going to be, looks like maybe goal difference that send people down this year. And we'll go to the last game, Burnley versus Swansea. And this definitely has to be one way, doesn't it? Although, you know, we actually went against the grain here. So let's see what the result was. Well, another nervy game, and we know Burnley can be very much the same as West Brom, but they weren't in this game. They shoot very, very rarely for me, and when they do shoot, it tends to be a goal. Completely wrong in this one. 52% possession to Burnley's, 20 shots, 7 on target, 1 goal. They'll be feeling quite aggrieved that they didn't get more. They had 1 off the line. They both had 1 off the line, in fact. That penalty, I think his arm was tight against his waist, and he sort of shook it as if, damn it, touched my arm, you know. I think, yeah, he couldn't put it anywhere else. There was an opposition player there and right next to him. You know, he can't shift it. You know, it's never mind in a non-natural position. It could only be in one position unless he sort of like moved it over his head and let the ball through. So, not quite sure it was a penalty. I suppose, you know, you have to go with the ref, and he had a long think about it. He obviously did see it, and he thought about his position of his arm and thought, you know, something. He's kept it there for a reason so that it doesn't go through the gap between him and the opposition player. 1-0 to Burnley. What did Swansea get? 48% possession, 9 shots, 4 on target, no goals. You know, that based on the actual shots and the shot skill, Burnley deserved this. Swansea's shots were either poor or grass cutters, and so many grass cutters from Swansea, and that you shouldn't be getting a goal from a grass cutter. The goalie would be dismayed if you let one of those in. So we said Swansea to win. I played my joker actually, so you didn't say anything. I played my joker and said Swansea 2-0 winners, Burnley 0, Swansea 2. It was Burnley 1, Swansea 0. And so what did we get this week? Because this week's been quite good. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 results correct this week, so we did quite well. I like it when we get 5 or 6. It's really good. I enjoyed this week. Please do like and subscribe. You know, there's been a few leaving. I do try and do my best. Do try and join us on the watch-alongs if I do one. I'm reducing it because not enough people join, so it's pointless me doing Fridays, two on Saturday, and then another one on Sunday, and another one in midweek. Because if I'm doing it with no people watching, it really is disheartening for me anyway. So we will be doing one on a Saturday, possibly two, and we'll see if people turn up. We had to cut both short on Saturday. I do apologise, but there wasn't anybody in the streams. But we will continue with the news, and we will continue with the reviews and the predictions. And we've also got our running videos alongside. So from me, it's John S. Sports Channel, over and out. Please do like and subscribe.